Hi, I'm Jupiter Darkling and I'm here with Chrysus Darkling talking about the various businesses that we have and the different art styles that we have. To give a little bit of a summary about the different businesses that we own a clothing brand called Carbon Cult, a dinosaur business called Solosaurus Rex, and a one business called the Serpent Society. So, to start off with the clothing brand, Carbon Cult, it is a art business that we have that we mainly use my fiance's art for. His art is basically the centerpiece, and I create little graphic design touches around it to make it more suitable for clothing. On top of that, I also create resin items such as chokers, so like a faux leather choker with a resin pendant for the business. And we have sent out 2 tote bags in total. One to Dead Inside Honey on Instagram with a tote bag and an art print. And she was very wowed by it. She loved it. You can find it on our Instagram under Carbon Cold Clothing. And to Miss Jecho, she is a friend of mine, a really talented artist as well, so definitely check her out. She received a tote bag and a choker that we're also gonna use to expand our product line with. We might be rebranding, might even change the name at some point, but for now you can find us under Carbon Cold Clothing on Instagram and Carbon Cold on Ko-fi. To talk a little about the artwork that we use for our brand, I'll pass the word on to my fiance.
Yeah, so the artwork I create is stories behind the artworks and the single pieces that I've created, but we've developed it into clothing as well, and that's where my fiance comes into that. She'll
Yeah, I want to add to that. The things that I do is, for example, which I really like, one of my favorite pieces that my fiance has created is called Candy Floss. It's this really pretty girl with bright blue eyes, tattoos on her arms, bright pink hair, but in a pastel way. And I just created this coffin shape around her and put the words in a font that I created, Rest in Pastel, to really make it more suitable for clothing. You can buy it on t-shirts, on tote bags, and on hoodies. The hoodies even have a little added print on the sleeves. And my fiance, he prefers to create an amount of body of works to have a cohesive collection. And the artwork that we use for Carbon Cult are mainly artworks that are single pieces that don't belong to a collection. And there's a few more other art pieces that he has done that I spruced up basically. On top of that, I also create these resin pendants for chokers, keychains, and necklaces and earrings. For that, I use glitters and pigments to really make it more visually appealing. So Miss Jecho on Instagram, she frequently wears the Carbon Cold Ouija choker that I've created for her. And it's also available on our Ko-fi, so if you're interested in it, you can always check out our Ko-fi and purchase one for yourself. And to move on to our next endeavor is Solosaurus Rex. So, in case you haven't known this yet, my fiance and I are really big dinosaur fans. I used to have an internship at Oertijdmuseum Bokstel, and I absolutely love my time there. I created artworks for the Betelgeuse Bredai and even a little children's book about it. That was my final project for uni. And to talk a little bit about it, I create little figurines that I call dingoes. Dingoes the dinosaurs. They're these little air dry clay figurines that I create from aluminium foil with a little bit of tape to hold it together and then air dry clay over it. I try to make it as smooth as possible, but since I'm still learning to work with clay, it is not yet perfect. And then I paint them. I have a few ones that look like actual dinosaurs, like the skeleton of a dinosaur, or just a cute little green dinosaur, a pink one or a blue one. But sometimes I also go a bit more creative with them. As for example, I have this one little dingo that I painted that is pastel blue with clouds on it and a little cute face. To have a bit more of an artsy feel to the little figurine. Besides that, I also make some artworks for Solid Rex that we sell as prints. I also make some original paintings. Again, I'm still learning how to paint, so they're not perfect. And resin pieces, such as jewelry. I've got a few dinosaur earrings up for sale on our big cartel. And I also make keychains, but made out of air dry clay. They're this really cute skeleton keychains. You just roll out the clay. I have these, they're actually cookie cutters. And I stamp out the form of dinosaur with the stamper through the clay, through the cookie cutter, I should say. And I let it dry, poke a hole in it, of course, when it's still wet, and then apply keychain to it, paint it up, and there you have it. My fiance does a few things that are different. He is a bit more intricate with his dinosaur work, as he is a better painter than I am. He has more experience, I'm still learning. And yeah, let us hear from him now.
Yeah, so currently I'm working on trying to get some clay sculptures of T-Rex skulls. And it's complex, it's not easy to do, and I've experimented a lot with it, with the clay, and trying to get like a framework with wires, with the skulls, and still good. Yeah, so it's just building the framework with wires, and it's complex, but use paper templates to get because even though it's art that I'm you know, art sculptures I'm doing, I do like to put a bit of like scientific accuracy into it as well, and with such things that are really complex to make, I think you need that scientific accuracy as well. When I've researched things online, it's quite hard to find anything when people are doing pure artistic, like T-Rex skulls, dinosaur skulls. I've found nothing with accuracy, and a lot of things are moulds and museum casts. But the idea I have is to create like an original piece rather than an actual cast, because anyone can get a cast model. They're all over the internet to buy. But I want to create the scarcity with the artworks as well, with the skulls. So it's like an original, like fossil in a way, because they're originals themselves, but casts are obviously made from them, and that's what people buy because they're scaled down, and people buy them as models. So I want to do something a little different, create that accuracy with it, with science, but obviously it's not going to be perfect, it's not going to be scientifically accurate, but it's not meant to be, it's artistic as well. Like a lot of skulls that they found, fossils, they're warped anyway, so they're not true to what they are anyway, you know, and they mix things with different skulls. So when you go to a dinosaur museum, the things that you look at are actually like built up, some parts, there might be a piece of jaw from another T-Rex that was more accurate, preserved, and then they've added that to another T-Rex, the top of the skull, them sort of things. So it's mixing all that again and putting it into art, and that's the idea I love. It's that we're creating fossils but in art. So these are one of the kinds. I've got another idea as well I would love to build this up and one day do life size skulls, and if I can, like dinosaurs as well, the full skeletons, and I would love to capture that and just do something different. And just like, you know, when they find a T-Rex skeleton, they name it and it becomes famous. You know, you've got Sue, Trix, them sort of, you know, skeletons that they found, and I would love to do that. It's a creative piece, and that's it, and it's an original. So that's the idea I've got with that, is just mixing art with science. So I also working with polymer clay at the moment, and my fiance is like, she's struggling with that, but strengths and weaknesses again. I just found that I can work with that, and I've so far done like a little scale model of a T-Rex skull with that. I've only done half the face of that. I've sculptured it, but the details are on one half, so it's just figuring out how to like complete that and finish it. So I'm in the middle of like working on them polymer pieces, but I've yet got to perfect that yet.
Yeah, and also to add to that, my fiance has also painted this amazing Nanotyrannosaurus skull. It's an original acrylic painting on a pretty big canvas with a black background, and it is absolutely gorgeous. You would think it's like a fossil with the earthy tones and everything. So not only does he create things out of clay, such as the polymer clay that he just described, or the skulls, what I'm also fascinated by is that he creates these teeth and claws that look pretty damn accurate, if I say so myself.
Yeah, so I've worked with them, and so far I've worked with air dry clay, and it's fragile itself. And again, I like that idea of like a real fossil is fragile, so they're not meant to be obviously played with or anything or messed about with. They're meant to be on display, so they're fragile. But I like that. But one thing I do like with the air dry clay, the details that I can capture with it. There's a set and make of air dry clay that I found at the moment that when obviously working with a bit of, when you dampen the clay, the textures. So I'm working with some dinosaur claws and teeth at the moment with air dry clay, and I found air dry clay has got the same, it's fragile, and just like a real fossil again. I love that idea of mixing like real fossils with art, and but the details that I can get with this air dry clay that I'm working with at the moment, just sometimes casts have got like a cloudy look to them. They don't, because they're a cast, and they don't always capture the sharpness, the details of like the real fossil themselves. With the air dry clay, I'm creating these originals that look just like an original claw, and I'm pretty happy with the results on that, especially after I've painted them. And I was surprised myself how well it looked in the end. And it's like I say, it's the crisp details that you can make that are different to casts, and it's just taking that little more time and effort, because I've bought a few casts myself of claws and teeth, but the paintwork, again, mass production, it's rushed out, and yeah, it's a decent job, but it's got its faults, and if I was to do that, I wouldn't put that out there into the world. So that's where I'm creating the fossils that I want to create myself, and the paintwork and the details.
Yeah, so we're basically creating the dinosaur items that are not out there yet, or that are out there and are mass produced. We want to see the dinosaur items that we would like to see in the world. So if you have any ideas for us to create, we're very diverse. We work with air dry clay, resin, we paint, we draw digitally as well as traditionally. Please leave us a comment down below for some more ideas that we could create products with, and who knows, maybe your idea will pop up in our shop on Big Cartel, and of course with credit. And then lastly, we have our other business, the Serpent Society. It's a manifestation wand business. We create wands out of twigs and small branches that we find out in the woods. Of course, we check if the wood's not rotten or dead or anything wrong with it. We clean them, we carve, we whittle, and you get this unique product that is made by nature, but, spruced up by us. Not only do we leave the wands as unique as they are natural, we also add certain elements to them, such as swirls with hot glue, or we glue a mineral to it, or rhinestones. We are very diverse with our wands as well, so there's basically a wand for anyone who wants one. I was also in the middle of creating a manifestation handbook that people could use who are not familiar with manifestation, and they could use that along with our wands. And we are also looking to expand our idea on Patreon to do a monthly subscription box full of witchcraft goodie items. You get things like spell jars, dream catchers, the handbook, wand, all certain witchy necessities that you could use for either seasonal things or everyday use.
Yeah, and I'm pretty passionate as well about manifestation, because I think a lot of people think it's this whimsical, idea. There's no evidence behind it, and there is. It's scientists have proven things about manifestation, and it simply is like putting your mind to something. And there's a few things I've read over the years, and that when I've all my life, it's got me through things and changed ways of doing things. And it's just manifestation, to like simply put it, is that we've all been there before, where you've got maybe like a presentation to do and you think of, oh, I'm going to stuff this up, I'm going to get it wrong, and chances are you stumble on your words. And yet confident people are the other way. They just know they're going to wing it if they can, and they just do it. It's a similar thing to that. It's just it's setting your mind into that, and there's depth of it and stuff. But simply put, if you think of it in that way, it's not as whimsical as everyone thinks.
Yeah, manifestation does actually work, because do you mind telling us and the audience about what you asked the universe before we met?
Yeah, so I was in a dark place 2019, and although I was lost everything in life, and I was happy on my own, and I kind of prepared for that. I thought, I'm happy at that. I've adjusted to life. But one thing I was craving was that connection with somebody. And I wrote this thing down on a piece of paper before, asked the universe to find somebody that I can connect with in that relationship, because I did crave that in that way. And we're social creatures, so are we integrated ever we are, we all crave that connection with somebody. And I did, so I wrote these questions down on a piece of paper, and like anyone, you get a bit impatient, you think, it's not working. And when you look at the scale of your whole life, it's no time. Just a few years later, I met my fiancée then, and the connection is just, I just can't believe what I've found in a person. And it was back then in that question, the thing that I craved, because I give up. And I always thought I would settle, if I did find somebody, it would be somebody I'd settle for second. But one thing I did believe was, just do it, just try it, and there was nothing to lose on it. But something inside me just knew that it's going to happen. I just knew it, and that's where it's happened. And I've never done out like that before, and I've done it, and everything, there's been so many failures on everything. And then when I did that, straight away, I look back at that, and it was COVID times, if anything, so I kind of set these questions out, and then COVID kind of happened, and then just after COVID, and the world picked up again, that's when I kind of met my fiancée not long after that. And it's just nice to look back at that, and I did that, and I'm pleased I did do that, because I do believe there's energies with the universe, because we're all, made of stardust sort of thing, so there's got to be energies coming from something somewhere.
Yeah, and in that way, manifestation does really work, because what I say a lot to my fiancé is that the universe has picked us out from the moment we were born. There's an age gap between us. And when I was born, I really believe that one day, I would find the perfect person for me. That being said, I was also happy to be on my own. I never had a relationship before. And I was happy to be my own person. I told my parents when I was 3 years old, I don't want marriage, I don't want kids, I don't believe in any of that. And I always carried on with that. But there are certain things throughout my life that I did that manifested my perfect partner, which is my fiance. And when I was younger, for example, I used to draw these characters on pieces of paper. This female and male. They were characters in a band that I had made up in my head. And it is bizarre how much my fiance looks like the male character. It is bizarre. If I ever find those old drawings back, I will show you all because it is bizarre. And in that way, manifestation does work. To come back to the one topic. And since we both manifested something that we, believe in and wanted for ourselves, and it worked out, we got passionate about setting up a business for other people to use our products to manifest for themselves.
And also as well, there's for years I've just had this feeling that I'm going to meet somebody, she's going to be the one, born in North America as well. I've just always had that feeling, and I don't know where it's come from, but I've always had that feeling, which is similar with the old band thing that you just said there.
Yeah.
So I've always had that feeling that that's going to be the person.
And in case you don't know, I'm Canadian born but Dutch raised. And it is bizarre how certain things like that work out, because I remember being in a theme park with my brother once, and we were talking, and then he asked some questions about having a partner for me in the future, and I was like, well, what if they come from England? And he'd be like, yeah, that's fine. And then I named a few other countries. But the fact that I named England as first just goes to show that there was something there. And it just these little things, such as like the dinosaur fascination that we both have, and we're both into art. It is just beautiful how manifestation does work. So if you think manifestation doesn't work, take us as an example and trust us. It works. It may take some time. You can't get everything what you want immediately, but it really does work.
And the wands are a tool as well. They're not this mysterious like object that you wave in the air.
Mm-hmm.
They are, when you research into wands and stuff, how manifestation works. It's just a tool. It's an extension of like your mind, and that's how I see it in that way. It's kind of this. For me, it like becomes this object, this symbol that it's a switch. When you've got that wand in your hand, it's a switch that you can turn on straight away. And switches again are a thing proven in psychology. And don't want to go off on one of you, but simply that, just putting that into your hand, it can, you go in that zone straight away. So again, they're not this whimsical thing that we all think of.
No, exactly, and that's where our passion comes from, because we have a lot of different passions, like the clothing brand, the dinosaurs, and of course manifestation. But manifestation is, I think, a bit closer to our hearts, because we both manifested something, and it happened in the form of a fiancé. And that's absolutely beautiful, because we are long distance for now. My fiancé's from England, I'm from the Netherlands. And we fly back and forth. We're planning on living together, obviously. And we're getting married soon. But knowing that we manifested a love that we craved, even though we were both happy to be on our own, just goes to show that the power of manifestation is really strong and really does work for you. I have manifested a partner in a way of not realizing what I was manifesting, because I've been doing that since I was like 12, 13 when I created that band in my mind. And through certain conversations that I've had with people in my life, I basically described how my fiance looks to be my perfect ideal partner. And my fiance has done the literal manifestation where he wrote it down on a piece of paper, and it took 3 years, and then we met.
Something else that just popped up now. So in 2020, I was experimenting. I was researching wands at the time, and I was messing with my camera on the phone. And when you record and you pause, and you can kind of edit it while you're filming, just pause it and then you go on to the next scene. So I was just doing that, and I just put my phone on the stand, and I had this prop money that I remember that they use for films and stuff like that. So it was just prop money, and it's so strange how I tapped my wand and there was no money there, and then there it was. I'm not going to say the sum, but there was a pile of money there, and then a few days later, I got gifted some money that was the same amount, and it was a substantial amount of money, but it was exactly the amount what was in the prop money. So I've always remembered that as well. But I was into it at the time. You know, there was, and that was just something I did for fun. But there was something I did believe in it when I was tapping as well. It was at the same time that where can these things go? You know what I mean? And because I set the camera up, I always found that a bit strange that happened, and it was exactly the amount that was in the prop money. And yeah, it's them strange things that happen that you can't explain.
It's manifestation is similar to affirmation. So when you, for example, this is what I learned in therapy, which I struggle a lot with. Look at yourself in the mirror and then say things like, I am loved, or I am worthy, stuff like that. And it does help, because the more you say it while looking at yourself, the more you believe it, up until a point where you feel like, yeah, this is true. I am strong, I am worthy, I am loved. And then you don't need those affirmations anymore. And manifestation is very similar to that, because you manifest something in your life that will become true. Another example that I'm going to give is for this writer from that I saw on Instagram a couple of years ago. She goes under the handle Gala Darling. She got this tattoo of a pink car on her arm. I can't remember the make of the car, but it was like one of those very expensive, fancy sports cars. That was her manifestation. And in case you want to look more up about her, you can find her on Instagram on the Gala Darling. She does also courses and stuff about tapping, which is very fascinating, and also has to do with manifestation. And just know that there's a lot of things out there that can help you manifest, and one of the things are products that we create, such as the wands, as an extension of yourself that gets you into the zone to manifest, and hopefully we can help you with that.
And again, like she bought that car. Again, vision boards that people do, so yeah. Mood boards, things like that. That when you focus on them things, you set your mind into that way. When you put your dream house on there, your dream car, and you set your mind to it, because you know deep down what I've got to do to achieve that. So again, manifestations, it's your own magic in that way.
Definitely.
You create your own look in that way on that.
Definitely.
And the techniques with the tapping and all that, again, there's a lot of people out there that, hypnotherapists and all that use all these techniques as well, and it's all proven scientifically. Yeah. So, and it's fascinating but you see switches that go on in the body again, and it's same with like you put that wand in your hand again, it does something. You go in that zone again. Yeah, and hopefully we've educated you all on manifestation, about our dinosaur business, and about our clothing brand. And if you have any questions or any comments, please drop in the comments below. We're more than happy to answer
any questions that you have. Hopefully we'll have you with us during our next episode. And for now, we're Chrysus Darkling and Jupiter Darkling. You can find us on Ko-fi under the handles Art by Darkling and Mrs. Darkling, and on Instagram Art by Darkling and Jupiter Darkling. Thank you.